We're going to start off our interview by just learning a bit more about you, where you grew up, where you went to school, and just your background in general.
Yeah, well, I'm originally from India. I grew up in India, Mumbai. I did my bachelor's in chemical engineering from Mumbai, and then I came to US for my PhD in chemistry. So when I initially started at University of Texas at Dallas, but my PhD advisor, he moved to University of Massachusetts Lowell, so I moved with him. So to continue my research, and that's where I finished my PhD. And after finishing that, I just thought about continuing my research, get a academic, like a faculty position or something like that. And so I did postdoctoral research also, but then in the middle decided that, what, I think I'll go to industry. And so just came here to Delaware, started a job, and so yeah, that's just a little bit.
Yeah. What was your postdoctoral research in?
Okay, it was again in chemistry, so it was more in the area of nanotechnology. So I've always worked during my PhD and postdoctoral research, always worked in the area of nanotechnology. So we were looking at things at very, very tiny level and see how that would change the properties at a larger scale.
So growing up, did you ever do like entrepreneurial things? So did anybody ever say to you like, oh, someday you're going to own your own business, you're going to do something?
No, nobody thought I would do that, Nobody thought that. But I was always involved in social activities, like cricket is very popular in India, so we would organize cricket leagues. So I was very involved in that. There will be like social gatherings, very involved in that. So those kind of things maybe help to develop some kind of leadership skills. So that kind of stuff, but nobody told me, or even I never thought that, someday I would start my own business.
Yeah. So you were attending school in Dallas, and then you attended school in Massachusetts. How did you end up in Delaware?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. So, like I said, I was planning for like a faculty position. So I did postdoctoral research at University of Pittsburgh. Then someone suggested me that in order to get a faculty position, it's good to have like a national lab research experience. So I went to Oak Ridge National Lab in Tennessee. I started my postdoctoral research there, but then in between decided that, what, I'll go to industry. So I started applying for industrial jobs, and Fujifilm here in Newcastle, Delaware, they were the first company who invited me for on-site interview. I came here, liked the company, so accepted the job, and then that's how I came here in Delaware.
Yeah, so how long were you at Fujifilm, and could you describe like what you did while you were working there?
Oh, sure. So at Fujifilm, I worked there for, let's say, 15, 16, yeah, like 2.5, 3 years, close to 3 years. And so at this site in Fujifilm, we were developing inkjet inks for commercial applications. So when we think of inkjet inks, we think that a printer, where you can print your color printout, that's what everybody uses for inkjet printing. But there is like a very big commercial market where you can print on fabric, like cloth, like textiles, the wallpapers and woods. So all that market is like printing is done mostly by inkjet printing. And in future, your food packaging, your Lays and milk cartons, they all will be done by inkjet printing. So we were developing inks that could go into inkjet printer for printing those applications.
So going back to when you did your postdoctoral research in Tennessee, you received an award there. What was that for?
Okay.
And could you?
Oh yeah, sure. So when I was at Oak Ridge National Lab, by the way, it's a fantastic place. So yeah, I really enjoyed working there. Great people good research. So while I was at Oak Ridge National Lab, we were developing water desalination membranes. So currently, like our Earth is like 75% water, but it's seawater, salt water. We cannot use it, and there are a lot of places on Earth where people don't have access to fresh water. So desalinating water is a big challenge, and especially considering the price, the cost it takes to remove salt out of water to make it accessible for drinking. So that's very expensive. So we are always looking for better ways to desalinate water, to cheaper ways to remove salt out of water, make it easily accessible for drinking. So at National Lab, we develop a new kind of, I would say, a filter. It's a very fundamental concept, but it could be commercialized in future. But we developed a membrane that could cost like 1/100th of what it costs right now to desalinate water. So it's a filter membrane that can desalinate water at a really cheaper price and make water accessible to places on Earth like Africa, Asia, where access to drinking water is challenging. So at places like that, it would be accessible at a very cheaper price and very easily available. So for developing that research or developing that whole technology, the award was given for that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really interesting, and that's actually a really great
Thank you.
accomplishment. So your company was founded in 2016,
Yeah.
but when did your idea begin, and how did you know it was the right idea and that you wanted to pursue it further?
Okay, so the idea came in during my PhD research. So it was always there. I was working on a new type of material, and I knew that this material could do that. But during your PhD research, you want to listen to your PhD advisor, if you want to do your PhD soon and very nicely. So the idea was there. I knew that this material could do this, but again, never got the opportunity to do anything with that. And when I did my postdoctoral research, I entered a new research field. And so the idea was there, just I didn't know when I would pursue it or if I would ever pursue it. I did not know that.
So could you elaborate on what exactly your company does and what you've created so that everybody else can
Okay, yeah,
understand
sure.
better?
So our company is developing corrosion protection coatings. So right now, if you say drive through your Delaware Memorial Bridge, it's made of steel and it's prone to corrosion. You'll see patches of red stuff everywhere. You'll see someone painting the bridge. So basically, steel is like metals, they are prone to corrosion. So if you consider your bridges, your buildings, even the structure here, it's coated with some kind of a paint that prevents it from corrosion. So corrosion is a very big issue right now. And the easiest way to protect metal from corrosion is to paint it with a coating so that you prevent the exposure to the outside environment. But one of the challenge right now is that if there is a scratch on the surface of the coating and the metal is exposed, once the metal is exposed, it starts to corrode. So the metal exposed, it starts to corrode, and slowly the coating starts to peel off. That's why on your Delaware Memorial Bridge, you will see someone painting that bridge because it's so much wear and tear. Even ships, containers, marine industry, your cars, everything, wear and tear, the coating comes off and the metal is exposed and it starts to corrode. So what we are developing is a self-healing coating where the coating is a smart coating where it senses that there is a scratch on the surface, and the moment there is a scratch and the metal starts to corrode, the coating releases a corrosion inhibitor at the corroding site and just heals and protects the metal from corrosion. So that's what we are working on right now. We are developing like a next generation coating. It's a self-healing coating where it can prevent the scratched metal from corrosion.
When you first started out, how did you build your team and how did you choose who you wanted to embark on this journey with you?
Okay, so when I first started out, so I started this when I was at Fujifilm. So, came to Delaware, found the right environment, right set of infrastructure where I could rent a lab space and explore things. So I started exploring this on weekends and nights, sometimes on weekdays. So initially I was the only one working, but then I started attending this different events like DESCA, which is Delaware Sustainable Chemistry Alliance. Then there is like Small Business Development Center, they have something going on. So I started attending those and I met with some wonderful people who started guiding me in the process. And so they even took a lot of interest in how the whole company can materialize and start growing. So just networking and meeting with people, it started. And then as the company started growing, few people approached, they showed interest in this. Through networks, I could approach different people, and also currently the team members I have who are working on product development, they also were from University of Delaware, who I met through common contact, and they understood the technology, and so it was just through networking the whole thing worked out.
So how many team members do you have now, and can you describe their parts?
Okay, so right now I have, it's me and there are two other people. So there are three of us who are working on product development. There is one person, he is located in Middle East. He works he's like the CEO of one of a big oil company. So he's located in Middle East. So he's our connection or contact for future sales in Middle East. And there are 4 advisory board members. And so one of the advisory board member is like a CEO of a very emerging company here in Delaware. So he started at my level and he's like now went to another level. So he's been a great help because now he's able to guide me through the process and tell me what things I can avoid. The other advisory board member is a lawyer. So he takes care of our intellectual property of the company and all the legal work. The other advisory board member was at DuPont for more than 30 years, worked at an upper management level. The other advisory board member was a vice president at Exalta Coatings. So very, very experienced people who are willing to help, give you time when needed, and support you in any way possible. Yeah.
So have you done any projects yet, or are you're just evolving and starting to create the product?
Yes, so right now, starting to create the product. So here's how it is, when I started, I was like, okay, I have this fantastic idea and I can change the world. I'll go and do this and that. And then you realize it doesn't work like that. So you really have to focus and find your edge or niche market where you can actually apply your product, and there's a lot of learning there. But my initial idea was to maybe I'll develop my own product and I'll start making it and I'll sell it. And then you realize later on it's not that easy. You cannot just do everything on your own. So that's when these advisory board members and the guidance I got was to not initially, like when I started, I thought there are this PPG and Sherwin-Williams and BASF. I'm going to compete with them and they are my competitors and I'll make better product. But then I realized instead of considering them as competitors, why don't you partner with them and see if you can enter the market that way. So right now I'm collaborating with 2 very big companies like a Fortune 500 or top 10 coating companies. So since now I'm working with them, I can see my chances of commercializing the product is much higher as opposed to if I had decided that I would do on my own. So there are like 2 or 3 different projects right now going on with different companies and different set of areas and applications. Yeah.
So do you have certain practices that you have when testing your product? Is there a specific thing that you continuously do?
Oh yes. So for coatings, the most important thing is how well it prevents corrosion. You know, it's very important. So no matter what coating or what kind of formulation we do, the first test is to test its corrosion resisting property. So that's like a very like a by default, you know, that's what we do. But other than that, like, you know, how it looks, is it good, are there any particles, is it smooth or rough, and those kind of things we look at. But corrosion protection is what is the main thing we look at. Yeah.
So have you experienced failures?
Oh yeah, I fail every day. So I mean, it's like it's a part of the process. So I mean, today you think that you can go and change your formulation, and that will solve the problem, and you work on it, and then in 2 or 3 days you find out it's not working, and you fail, and then you go back and then redo it. But the whole education, you know, that's what it teaches us, that over the period of time you learn to accept failure and take failure as a learning as opposed to failure as a failure. You just, I mean, there's this thing I read somewhere, you know, like you know, failure is not something like, you know, you can take it as a way of how not to do things. You know, that's a learning you can take from your failure. So yeah, we fail every day, and there's a lot of like, you know, formulation change and everything goes on to develop the product and to make it better and better every day.
So in the beginning, are there any mistakes that you wished you could have avoided? And if you could go back, what would you have changed? And
okay, yeah, I think one of the things, like I mentioned, was I thought I could do it all, like just do everything. I'll compete with other people and things like that, and not understanding the market. You know, I wish I had done the market research, understanding the market, see what are the pain points and things like that, like talking to real people and understanding all those things, as opposed to assuming a lot of things and reading some journal. You know, I wish I could speak with people. Say, for example, we hear a lot about people talking about using environmentally friendly products or doing certain things in a more environmentally friendly way, and then you go and talk to actual application in industry, like say oil rigs. People don't care about environmentally friendly products. You know, for them, performance is important. So if your coating is performing, if it's preventing the oil rig from corroding, they don't really care if it's environmentally friendly or harmful. You know, they just want good product. So things like that, you don't realize or you don't know that like what people care about and what people don't. So things like that, if I could, if I had done that market research, if I had done if I had spoken with people and understood what is the pain point and what is needed, I think the product development process would have been different and better right now. Yeah.
So how did you establish the name for your company?
Okay, so yeah, so the name is SAS Nanotechnologies. So S is smart, advanced, and sustainable. So smart because I mean I knew, being in research for so long, the materials is like, we hear about computers and technology and artificial intelligence, but people forget that materials play an important role in our everyday life. That you see, I don't know, coatings or jackets that can repel water. So that's like a certain material on it. So, and these materials in future, they could do things on their own. You won't have to do it. So that's why I wanted to have a company in thinking about the future, company that would develop smart materials, materials that could do smart things. Say, for example, this self-healing coating. It's a smart coating where it understands that there is a corrosion taking place and it seals the area. So that's why smart and, of course, advanced was like, of course, you want to have an advanced coating and sustainable for being environmentally friendly. So that's how we came up with the name. It should be smart, advanced, sustainable, and of course the whole thing, the nanotechnology, it's based on a nanotechnology foundation. So that's how we came up with the name. Yeah.
So through this all, what has been your greatest high, like the best moment that you've had so far?
Okay, I think the best moment I had was like, of course, winning the award, the Swing with the Shark, was like really great. And there were other things, small achievements. But recently, like few months back, like I mentioned, we are working with a very big company, and we sent our product for testing to them, and they sent us the results last week. And they are very impressed with the performance of the product, and they want to talk more and see if we can collaborate and things like that. So I think that's a great thing, because if a company, like right now you test in your lab, you're confident that, oh, my product works well, does well, but if some other third party, if they test the product and come back with the same results, I think it's a great achievement there.
What has been your greatest low, and how have you come back from it?
Okay. Oh man, even like a lot of it, because it's like when you're working in research, there is always it always happens that you think that this is not going to work, or your idea is not going to work. So many times in the lab, you think that your technology works, but can it beat the current best performing product in the market? And so when you test your product and the current product side by side, and you realize that your coating is not as good as what the best one out there, so it's very demotivating. So I think we tested our product, we realized that it's not doing as good as the current one, but then of course, then after thinking about it over a couple of days, we realized what we could change in our product that it can do better than the current product. So at that point, it was low. And also, like there are a few people I met, either over the phone I spoke with them or met with them personally, and them telling me upfront that it's not good and it's not going to work. I've worked in this area for like 1,000 years and it's not going to work. So things like that, it's very demotivating, and then you come back and you think about it, and then you start questioning yourself, like, am I doing the right thing? Did I take the right decision, and things like that? So yeah.
Yeah. How do you plan on furthering and growing your business?
Okay, so again, collaboration. That's the route we want to take. So collaborate with existing players in the market, use their supply chain, use their resources, use their marketing strategy. Just collaborate with them and see if we can enter the market and grow that way. So that's the first step. But at the same time, we are also looking at options to do like a contract or toll manufacturing of our product, and leverage our contacts in the industry and sell the product that way. So we are looking at both the options. So we'll see which way it will go. Yeah.
How did you manage the shift from working for a company to owning your own company?
It was, I think, for this, I'll give certain credit to my wife. She supported me in doing this, because it was a big decision, because we knew that if I do this, it might be difficult for me to go back to industry. But we spoke about it and we decided let's take that risk. And so we did that, and so far it's going well. So we'll see. Yeah. I mean, I have not reached a point where I'm questioning myself. Did I do the right thing? So so far so good.
Yeah. What is one thing that you believe you guys are going to be really great at that will be uncomparable to another company?
Okay, I think what our technology, that's the base. I think our technologies will be very good or better than everybody else out there. But more than that, I think the company we want to build is not a company that just sells a product. A company we want to build is something that would work with customers to solve their product. So that's the kind of company I envision right now, where say if someone from an oil rig comes and tells me that we are having this kind of problem, or someone from a construction industry comes and are seeking certain kind of solutions where the current technology is not working, I think that's the kind of product we want to deliver to the market where others cannot work, and that's how we think that we could be better than others.
Okay. If you had one piece of advice to someone looking to start their own company and endeavor, what would it be?
So I think I would say find a mentor. That's my advice. Find a mentor, and not someone who who's telling you, yeah, do this or do that. No, someone who's willing to spend time with you and discuss ideas with you. Someone like when you're about to start, you have so many things going on. Like, I want to do this, I want to do that. This is there, that is there, and not all the things you're thinking are correct. So that mentor should be able to pick things for you and guide you in a proper direction where your thought process starts lining up, and you start getting things done. So I think my advice would be to find a good mentor, not a mentor. Like, there are, I would say, different types or categories of mentor. Some mentors can advise you in certain things. Some mentor can advise you on, say, finance, or investment, equity, and those kind of stuff. But you want a mentor who can advise you on everything, or with whom you can bounce back ideas, and he should be able to tell you that this is not the right approach, maybe this is the right approach. I mean, you're the decision maker, but someone should be able to give you the other side also, that if you do this, this is fine, but if it doesn't work, then that's the consequence of it. So I think my advice would be to find the right mentor right now. Yeah.
Did you have a mentor that
Yes.
You felt that guided you in the best way possible? And how did they guide you?
Yeah. So I have all of my advisory board members, I would call them mentors, because any question, anything, they share their experience. They share things that could go wrong. They are very honest about everything. But one of my advisory board members, his name is Rakesh. He's a lawyer, but his background is like chemical engineering, and so when I meet with him, we just don't talk about, say, business, but it's more about sometimes along the philosophical lines of business, sometimes along the technical lines of business, sometimes along the business side of business. So we talk and discuss a lot of stuff. And I think he is the kind of person who's able to shape the thought process, because you're thinking about a lot of stuff, but you don't want to be lost in your thoughts. So that particular mentor, I would say that, he is helping me that way, like meeting me very often if needed, and just have a conversation over a cup of coffee and just see what's going on. I mean, so he's been a great help, and so I've been speaking with him ever since I started. I just met him randomly at one of the events, and we met further, and so he's been a great help. But other than that, I think other thing I would like to advise or suggest is to find a organization that helps entrepreneurs. Very important. So for me, example, I have like DESCA, Delaware Sustainable Chemistry Alliance. Since I'm a chemist, like that organization has been fantastic. They are like a crane. You know how if you want to build a building, the crane helps pick up the big rods and structures and help organize things. So DESCA is that crane for me. I go to them and I tell, hey, I want connection in the manufacturing industry, and they provide. I'm like, I need some guidance on the investment side, and they provide. I need to understand how marketing is done, and they provide. I mean, they help you connect with their connections who can help you. So that's other thing, advice I would say. Seek an organization who is very helpful and who can help you with the process. Yeah.
Speaking of marketing, how do you market your company and your products to partners or customers?
Again, say initially when I started, I was approaching people in industry through LinkedIn, trying to get in touch with them, but then later on realized it's not working. People don't respond to you, they don't entertain you. But then later on realized like there is a way to approach people. If somebody introduces you, that always help. Even the way you write your emails, the way you write your short introduction, even that matters. So things like that, I think you learn it over time. But to market, I mean, we don't have a product in market yet, but say if we are looking for partners and looking for people we could work with or get information, I think introductions help. You know someone and somebody else introduced you to the other person you want to meet. So that helps. If not, then sending nice, crisp, polite like emails through LinkedIn and using social network to reach out to people, that also helps. Yeah.
Okay, so before we open up to audience questions, is there anything that you feel needs to be shared, and what is it?
Okay. I think I like I said, finding the right mentor and finding your crane, finding an organization who can help you with it. So that's important. And the second thing is to, like, if you want to start something of your own, I would say do not rush into it. Just take a step back, think of all the possibilities as to why this is fantastic, why this will be successful and will make you a millionaire or billionaire, and also look for reasons as to why this will not work and what are the chances that or reasons that this could fail, and then start thinking about how you can mitigate those risks. So if you can do that, and when you start, you're confident that I think my chances of success are a little better than chances of failure. If you have done the due diligence and you start your business, I think later on, no matter what setbacks you get, that you have done your due diligence and that this will succeed. So it will not hold you back. You will move forward, and then you will build that confidence, and then you should just keep pushing forward. If you have done your due diligence, I think you will succeed. So yeah, that's would be my advice to everyone. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna thank you, and I'm gonna let Jono come back up here for the question session. Yeah.
Oh, I've got a question for
Oh.
Sumedh first. You mentioned the Swimming with Sharks pitch competition. Can you describe that whole process and journey going through?
Okay, yeah. So the swim with the shark competition, I think it was a fantastic thing. So the way it started was they would want us to submit like a marketing plan, like give a company introduction, your team, your information about your organization, then what does your product does, and your marketing plan, sales plan, financial plan, and your projections, like where you would be in 5 years or so. So we had to submit all that information, and then they had like judges who are basically experienced people in the industry. They would evaluate your business plan. Basically, it was like a mini business plan, and I think 12 or 13 companies applied for that. And out of those 30, then after going through that process, they invited all of us to do a presentation for 10 minutes and give an introduction and discuss about our company. And during the presentations, again, there were like 7 or 8 judges who would ask us questions and understand the product, the technology. So after that, after going through that process, they shortlisted 3 companies, and these 3 companies were called at the event where we were asked to present in front of the audience. There were 4 judge members and who were going to give us points on our presentation, like in different categories, and also the audience members were supposed to vote for their favorite company. So after going through the whole process, like the document submission, the presentation at that stage, then the presentation to the audience member and to the judges and the whole thing, and after that they decide, like, who gets the maximum points or who wins. So yeah, that was the process. Yeah. Yeah.
Does anybody else have questions?
No.
Go ahead in the back. Yeah.
How did you get your funding? Was it through VC competitions or from your own time? I know you said you worked your own job for a while. Did you save a lot and use your own working capital for that? Or did you get it from some of your mentors from overseas as well too?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question, and I think it's very important to, when you start a business, to keep that in mind. So when I started, like I said, I rented a lab space, worked on weekends and nights. So at that time, I was paying for the rent from my pocket. But I've started exploring, like investors started approaching angel investors who are your best bet at that time. But since you are new, nobody wants to invest. So my breakthrough came like when I wrote a proposal on my technology to National Science Foundation. So there is something called as Small Business Innovation Research grant. I think it's a fantastic a platform to seek money because you write your proposal, you submit your proposal to this SBIR funding agency, and if the idea is good, if there is a potential, they will pay you, and it's a non-dilutive funding. That means that it's like a grant you get, you use it to develop your technology. You don't have to give away your equity. So I mean, I would really suggest, if you are interested, look at SBIR, Small Business Innovation Research, and there are different agencies like National Science Foundation, Department of Energy, Department of Defense, Department of Transportation, Environmental Protection Agency. There are like a bunch of different agencies that can provide funding to you. So it's a great way to get money. So that was my, like I got that proposal, was awarded, and that's how I could quit my full-time job and enter the company. And after the proposal, it added a lot of credibility to the work I do, because now it's a very competitive, getting that award is very competitive. But once you get the grant, once you get the grant, it adds a lot of credibility to you and your company. And from that point on, it's all about developing the product, approaching the investors, letting them know that you have this, and then just moving forward. Yeah.
Did you have to give up equity for that?
Do I what?
Did you have to give up equity for that?
No, for the proposal grant, no equity. It's like a free money, you know.
Pretty much just write them a proposal
Yes.
of what you're trying to do, and they're like, oh, hey, yeah, actually we like this.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. That's how it is. So it's federally funded, you know.
Do you have to pay them interest or?
No, nothing. It's a federal money. That's when you realize, like, you know, some of the tax we are paying, you know, it's good.
Mind me asking, what's the max that they'll give?
Yeah, sure. So the proposal I wrote to NSF, National Science Foundation. I received $225,000. So that's for a year, and I mean they have certain for 1 year. Yeah, you have to spend the money in 1 year, but there is certain restrictions on it. Like you cannot buy equipment, you cannot pay to lawyers, but you could use the money for rent and office space and hiring people and.
Money get held in like an escrow account?
No, yeah. So it's more like a money to spend, you know, like to develop your technology. So that's phase 1, and if you do well in phase 1, you can apply for phase 2, which is $750,000. So you could actually get that money. It's like a free, non-dilutive funding you can get.
Are there any like specific qualifications that you need for that? Like you have to be a certain type of company, you know?
No, not really. In fact, they like funding small companies. When I applied, I was just one person company, you know, and I applied and I got the grant. So they like to fund small companies, and they like the small companies growing, because then that develops the economy, and then that creates job in the area. So yeah, it's a very good funding. Yeah.
Or have there been any like complications that you've had with that? Sorry, I'm taking a lot of questions.
Oh no,
You're
no,
fine.
no, it's fine, yeah. Yes. So the first time I applied, it got rejected. So I applied second time, and that's when it worked. And writing the proposal is very painful. I mean, there is a certain way it needs to be written. The technical part, the commercialization part, it takes time. So you have to be good at writing to, you know.
How long was your proposal?
What?
How long was your proposal?
There is a limit, 15-page limit on the proposal. Yeah, 15. Yeah. So yeah, that's how long it was. So yeah, but it has to be like written certain way, detailing your technology and the commercial potential. So yeah, and when you submit the proposal, it goes to experts in the field. They review the proposal. There are like 4 or 5 judges who are like well-established people in the field. They review it, and if only they think that this has a good chance of success, they will provide the funding to you. It's very competitive, but very good money. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
we have 2 more questions. Is that okay, Jono? 2 more? Go ahead.
So throughout your journey, have you ever wanted to just give up and stop? And then if so, what made you keep going?
Okay. So yes, that happened. I mean, that happens a lot. You know, when you at some point you feel like when you meet someone who tells you that this is not good and you cannot do it, or sometimes you realize that maybe this may not work. That happens, but I think later on you just have to believe in yourself, because like I mentioned, you know, once you have done that due diligence of what are my chances of being successful and what are my chances of failing, and you know that your chances of success is little more than failure, I think that's what keeps you going. So just believing in yourself and just keep going at it, I think that helps. So yeah, and of course, but then other than that, it's very important people around you support you. So for example, you know, of course, most important, my wife, she will support me. She believes more than I do. So, but anyways, but other than that, the advisory board members, they believe in you, and if things like that happens, like your mentors, you speak with them, and they can have a solution for it. So things like that, speaking and surrounding by right kind of people, positive people, people with positive mindset, optimistic people really helps. If you are around pessimistic people and negative people, I think it doesn't work that way. So yeah.
Okay, so one more question I saw right there.
Yeah.
So, man, but anyway, I got a question about how you maintain your friendships through business. Like, has it ever hindered you in the future, or like throughout the journey that you've had in maintaining friendships, or even making friends with potential competitors, or like different things like that?
Okay, so I think I would like when you say maintaining friendship with competitors. So I just realized over time that you should always seek other person as a collaborator as opposed to competitor. So it doesn't matter even if you're working in the same field, because there is always something you could do together that could benefit both. And so that mindset I have developed. So even if I know that this person is working in the same area, and I have met people like that, so the way I approach to them is like, I know you do this thing and even I do the same thing. Is there something we can do together that can, help and maybe speed up the process? So that's one thing. And also it's important to, like, even if you're competing with someone, compete in a healthy way and not like, in an unhealthy way that, oh, that's my competitor and, I want to do better than him, or I hope it doesn't succeed and I succeed. So not that mindset. It should be more of a collaborative, like, let us both succeed, that's a better approach. And so you will meet a lot of people, but again, that right mindset people, positive people, optimistic people, very important to keep them closer to you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, sure.
Can we all give him a big round of applause?
Thank you. Yeah.